Humbler as a as a coach, as I kind of think of Hirai as the man in the suit, in the back making the orders. But here we go, game number 1, Atlas, and for KT Rolster, the big issue we didn't show their stats for it this time because I think it's kind of been beaten to death, but the damage percentage, the gold leads, the advantages have always been Doran and Yukao in lanes. The bottom lane has always struggled. Hybrid has had serious problems not only in the laning phase, but also in team fights. And KT just still haven't been able to figure out how to draft out of what is such a top and mid-reliant team. And then after Blank was sent back down to the Academy team, Gideon hasn't filled that hole yet either. There are a lot of reasons why KT have struggled in the second round robin. It's not just chance, it's not just some weird twist of fate. It's patch changes that affected Hybrid's champion pool, and a new restructured KT Rolster that just hasn't found its legs yet.
Yeah, and Gideon that isn't necessarily able to give that veteran status than a player like Blank did, especially there are memes surrounding Blank, but he had an incredible season over in the LJL and was coming back looking in form and did have some decent games as well. As Hanwha Esports going to lock away Johan's by far best champion that he's showed so far in the LCK in the Nidalee. As, of course, Udyr and the Hecarim and the Lilia all banned away. And it does feel like Nidalee does sort of sit on that next level alongside things like the Graves.
Makes you wonder where KT are planning to take this, because all year long, throughout a lot of the end of last year too, there you go, Hybrid on the Kai'Sa. The jungle pick has been the crux of first rotations for Korean teams, especially when the jungle pool has thinned this much. So the fact that they ban Hecarim and Lilia on red side means they're willing to give up the Nidalee first pick, which is Johan's best champion. And this is not something I think KT have done by accident, right? I feel like this is something they planned. They knew that this would be a likely pick coming through. So they've got something up their sleeves here, you have to imagine, for Gideon going into this game. Because otherwise this just would feel very silly.
Yeah.
In terms of tier list picking here. It's just not the greatest move ever. Blind Sion.
Hanwha Esports can do it, right? This is a massive flex for them. Not a lot of other teams have been flexing the Sion into the mid lane. I think Afrika Freaks is another example, but there are only a few mid laners that are very comfortable doing it. However, not a flex, as it turns out. That is an Orianna picked out of theme, is what it feels like to me. But certainly, with Orianna and Sion, that is a devastating team fighting combo. But the Nidalee now looks a little bit more weird.
It does look weird in terms of the setup here, and it will be the pull-off.
Weird.
Rel is still open, but I don't think you're going to get to pick it, sadly, here with the, they picked the Gragas early, but I think the Hanwha Esports will very likely ban it, because it works so well with the Olaf, and this does point towards more top lane Gragas. But, yeah, the Orianna pick here, it feels weird with the AP jungler, but it also feels strong with a pretty decent ball carrier in the Sion, and even Nidalee can be a good ball carrier to set those up for big shockwaves. So
can in the early game, yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I kind of don't hate it too much. Damage profile leaves a little bit to be desired, though.
Yeah, especially in the mid lane. But like you were talking about, Hanwha Esports almost never use their jungle resources in the mid lane, so I guess it's not even a conversation worth having. As Kalista going to be banned in the second round here, of course, one of Deft's, historical power picks, as there's Victor to leave the Rift as well. Certainly something that Yukao has been gravitating towards, as there's the Tristana ban, and that's the one that I was expecting to come out with a little bit more gusto, as Rel's still available, and Rel Tristana could have just been locked for Hanwha Esports.
And the Gragas pick, based on what we've seen in the draft, feels like it's going to be a support pick, but because it's difficult to get high impact value out of the Gragas into the Sion. But they do leave this Rel pick open. It's something that we definitely could have seen flexed here.
Well, I mean, it's something that also KT are probably pretty okay with going against, because they have the Gragas as the immediate answer to it anyway, so they sort of feel like they've covered that base.
Sure.
Is what I'm getting the feeling of, but they could still lock it in as Deft. Oh,
Caitlyn.
I love it, if he does do it.
Don't do the Kog'Maw, this is not a good idea.
I mean, Kog'Maw's been buffed, but they already have way too much magic damage, so Deft is just going to cycle through a bunch of different picks. I actually don't mind Ezreal.
Yeah, Ezreal is pretty good here, and you can just pick Rel with it too.
Oh, Senna is also available, all right.
Senna Kench, back at it again. There you go.
Oh, but they had the Sion. Okay, so if KT had have locked in a top laner, this is where I would have been like, oh, but how sick would it have been if they flecked the Sion? But not so much, because it would have still been blind, so it's like a lot of funny business for no actual payoff.
So, The question now becomes, what do you want to pick into the Scion? Do you want to go for something like a Jace here for Doran? Let him play that aggressive? I mean, Cho'Gath was really fun to watch last series. I don't know if KT is prepared for it, and they don't have great pairing with it. And so the Rakan comes through over the Rel.
So that's going to put the Gragas top lane. Interesting.
Rel got nerfed, but I don't know if it was enough to warrant just completely being left out of this draft. It's interesting. It's a pretty good choice into the Senna, but I really feel like Rel would have been so much better for team fights with this composition. Gragas goes top. It's a relatively weak matchup. You know, it's not like Gragas is going to get crushed by the Sound, but he's just not going to be impactful, right? So
yeah,
where does Gideon actually find value in this game? It's going to be so incredibly difficult, whereas Johan is going to be able to run the gamut. He's going to have the ability to threaten so many lanes. He has such a good clear time. And can even actually threaten kills on Gragas on the top side of the map. Not to mention that he is going to be a decent ball carrier in the early parts of the game. UCal has to be careful. I feel like Hanwha Esports' draft is just way more meta, and it works together way better. It feels like KT Rolster's draft is a bunch of pieces that don't really form a puzzle.
Yeah, it's interesting because both of them have the same problem, which is an off-theme jungler on both sides of the rift, right? Both of them are going to be able to farm very, very quickly, but with a lot of our top-tier junglers being removed, it feels a little bit odd, right? Yes, Sion can set up ganks, but does he have extra damage, especially after Gragas gets an item or two? I don't know whether that's going to be the case. I think that there might be some kill pressure for KT on the top side of the map, but like I said, Sion, plus it's Morgan. Like, he's been going back to a lot of his WE roots where he played incredible defensive top lane play. And that sort of means that Johan doesn't have that much of a job. So if he's then just going to be on farming duty and trying to do his very best to counter jungle his opposition, which is something Nidalee is very, very good at, then we could see something really cool coming out from Hanwha Esports. But we'll see how they manage to play it out and whether KT can get themselves some early advantages.
Yeah, Hanwha Esports have a draft that has Tom Kench to be able to, I mean, act as a global who can be very impactful around those potential Nidalee ganks. And
I hope no one heard my sneeze.
No, nobody heard that.
Dang.
Not even one person.
I broke the fourth wall by accident. I didn't even need to.
But yeah. So anyway, like, I don't know why it's so funny, but it is. I was gonna say, like, I don't want to say anything. I don't know. Like, it was and
and you were like in the middle of your serious point, and I've completely derailed the entire situation.
I'm just glad, I'm glad you got it out, because sometimes those sneezes don't come out. And
oh yeah, especially when it's dark, right? Like, I'm like desperately looking for a light, and there's like around Lol Park, we have all of our sponsors sort of like just drifting past. So I'm like trying to follow it. I'm like, I'm gonna catch this sneeze.
You're like, I wish the McDonald's was a little bit brighter of a logo so I could sneeze.
Yeah, I need to wait for the clev to come around.
Yeah, there you go.
I have no idea what that is. You guys can't see it either. There's trading in the
RAM, I think.
Yeah.
But it's like
Secret Lab, that's the dream. If you need to sneeze, wait for the Secret Lab to come around.
There's actually like a sneeze tier list of our sponsors rotating around.
Very, very important. And yeah, we like to discuss the real things here on the LCK broadcast. Here's the stats for Orianna versus Syndra.
About as boring as the matchup.
Exactly. No real change up here. It is Chovy that's playing a very, very standard mage in the mid lane, though, so that's cool. He's gone for the phase rush, so no Conqueror Orianna this time. Imagine that, the clockwork wind-up value, as UCal not going to find the scatter stun. As Vista and Deft having a great time here towards the bottom side.
Chovy has gone on record saying he doesn't really like playing control mages right now. He feels like that's not his strength, and that he feels there are much stronger control mage players in the league that are, significantly better than him at the moment. So he feels slightly uncomfortable on it. Orianna's the one he's played the most of those mages.
Yep.
Next to the Victor, if you want to call Victor a control mage, I guess you could. But he's only played one game of Syndra, and that's the one he really doesn't like. But this is still, I don't want to say it's out of Chovy's comfort zone, because nothing is out of Chovy's comfort zone. But it is definitely not what you expect to see from him, especially with this high of a priority in the draft.
Yeah, especially when they already had the Scion locked in, right? Like, why not hold on to that flex for a little while longer? That being said, the draft, we can't really fault it in that department. I think they haven't been punished for it at all. Anyway, as Morgan just chilling underneath this turret, having a pretty good time. Just going to say no to that siege minion. He'll see to that at a later date.
Yeah.
Do not rush him, okay?
Nope.
This is a lumberjack right here we're talking about. He does things in his own time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he's okay.
Say no to cannon minions, kid. Or cannon minions, not canyon minions.
Canyon minions? Canyon's a jungler. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't need minions. He needs monsters.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be Scuttles traded. Very much a lot of extra resources given to Gideon here by Doran actually rotating down just to guarantee.
Yep.
And that will be 1 for 1. And so far, this game is shaped up to be fairly slow-paced, but the one place where things are starting to look a little bit frustrating for KT is the bottom side of the map, as Hybrid is just being threatened non-stop by the Senna, who doesn't have to focus on farming minions. So he's actually significantly behind the Tahm Kench here in terms of farm.
Zeus not quite able to get that one. And look, the Rakan is picked in an isolated fashion into the Tahm Kench. This is something that we used to see a whole lot. I think the Rakan isn't necessarily as strong as he used to be, although we still have seen a lot of players picking it up. Delight especially has been putting a few games into it. But I'm not a huge fan. I don't think that the value necessarily is going to be able to outweigh just getting something that's just going to holistically make your composition better. But we'll see whether Zeus can make it work, because of course they do have ability to, you know, rocket their Olaf into a fight, and then you can taxi along as the Rakan.
Yeah.
Start a lot of surprising team fights that way.
If you ran the Rel here too, it's very difficult to do anything in lane. But I think that the Rel is so much more valuable for team fights later on, which is why I would have liked it more.
Yeah.
The Rakan is so squishy that if he gets caught by a spear while he's trying to set up for a flank, like, that's kind of just the end of it, right? You know, like, if Johan is able to chunk him down to half health, like, can he really engage at all? It's almost, he might as well just go back home at that stage. So I'm a little bit concerned about how it's going to function later on, but only time will tell us how that's going to turn out.
I think the rel value with things like Olaf and things like Kai'Sa are actually pretty strong, as Deft is going to get knocked up, but no need to even worry about throwing down a Devour at this point in time. Johan is on the bottom side as the Piercing Darkness gets a bit of value, and Gideon's just looking to try and break a potential freeze here towards the bottom side.
They don't know he's here.
Yeah, Spear going to connect there onto Gideon is Johan. I don't know whether you want to run in on this one, buddy, and he is not going to.
If that hits Zeus, that's a kill, you know? I mean, that's what's so terrifying about this stage of the game when Deft is trading aggressively because he knows they have a kill pressure. Speaking of which...
Oh, he got hit by the spear, but Johan not actually going to find the empowered pounce. And now looking to fish with another spear as well, as Gideon knows he has to body block, but this is going to give a lot of space over to Hanwha Esports, and you can see Deft jumps on it immediately, going for that cheetah recall. Oh no, cancels it. Never mind. They want to shove instead, I guess.
I mean, there's very little mana here for Johan, but he can take
just leave the wave right there.
And I think that, you know, they could have potentially tried to make a Drake play with the mid-prio as well, but just going to leave it at that. They'll be able to get the Scuttle, and they can cheetah recall back in and get the Drake themselves then if they would like to.
Yep. And the reset's going to be pretty aligned, so no one really going to get any extra value on that dragon. But Rift Scuttler going to be strong.
Yes.
As Gragas towards the top side, you can see Doran actually having a really good time in the matchup thus far. We've seen this before. He's just going to body slam nothing for a sec. But that's not going to change him being ahead in farm by a long way. As he spends that 80 mana, by the way, mega nerf, unfortunately, on the Gragas. As you can see, no mana left at all to do anything.
Yeah.
At this point.
Such a huge nerf. Cannot be overstated.
I apologize to the devs. I actually don't think that Gragas was too strong to that degree.
Just
touch him a little bit and see what happens. See whether that balances him out, as he nails the body slam beautifully and then spends another 80 mana.
He got a bit of a buff. I don't remember exactly what was touched to him right before Kespa Cup, and then he was just like he was the top laner, and it was almost too safe. And obviously patches take a bit of time to actually come online here in the pro scene, so I guess you slightly nerf him and you're hoping he's just not extremely too high sustain up there, but...
Yeah, I don't think he was strong enough to like be Samirid, you know?
No, yeah.
I don't think that that's quite there.
Especially because outside of the pro scene, like he wasn't, you know, it's not like he's having that side have an impact where he's crushing everything.
Yeah.
23 CS up though in this game, as you pointed out, having a pretty good start.
Absolutely.
And there's so much priority in mid and bot, but they still just want to trade.
Def just stands there and says, no, don't devour me. I can't auto-attack if you devour me.
It's always scary if Olaf comes over if you tried to solo the Drake as Nidalee. It's just not ideal.
Yeah.
but regardless, I feel like they have enough resources where they could have made a play for this earlier. Almost feels like they're intentionally slowing down the pace of the game instead and waiting for KT Rolster to make the play first if they can counteract. Speaking of which, he's going to steal this, but look at the Rift Herald fight that's going on. I want to look at that. Because Chovy can actually head over there. Look at this prio.
If he would like to, I mean, the Scion, he's just going to ult back towards the top lane. So it looks like the Rift Herald will just be taken here as the Abyssal Voyage. A little bit too late, unfortunately, and Hanwha Life just don't quite have the vision around the area.
That's rough. I mean, it's not like it's the end of the world, but that definitely could have been shut down if they were a little bit more proactive. They stole a blue buff, but could have rotated right afterwards.
Yeah, it's almost like, no, we do a great thing. If they had have just got the Drake, then at least that would have been a neutral trade. Even though I think that First Herald is a little bit more valuable just than one Mountain Drake, as Zeus is going to get himself a bit of a knock-up, as Deft says that he doesn't really like that and just walks up towards them, and Vista says, you're a bit too far forward, and decides to eat it, as per usual. Good old Tomkesh. I don't miss him, you know, but...
you don't hate him as much as Valdez, though, doesn't
No, I don't think so. Not quite that much.
I don't know if anyone does.
I hate him. Yeah, actually, Valdez is not a fan. He does not like it when the frog is unclogged.
He wants to bench the Kench as usual, but I'm actually kind of a huge fan myself. I think there's a lot of synergy with this composition. And
I mean, it's just a mega safe lane, right? If you take the Senna into the Tahm Kench. I also think that Deft is one of the players that plays with a Tahm Kench better than a lot more because he's able to utilize all of the extra aggression. We know that that is Deft's tendency anyway. So if he is unleashed, then he does generally get a little bit more done.
Especially on the Senna, you know, like that's his playstyle on this champion. As Hanwha Life, we're actually gonna finally put the
yeah. Now it's KT's turn to be a little bit late to the party as well, as you can see.
Well, that goes through pretty quickly, but you know the Senna trades too that we're seeing in the lane here have just given them so much control nonstop. He's got so many stacks already. As that was scary.
The slight move to the right. Okay. Sorry, to the left for Deft.
Yeah, some of those dodge animations in the old Fire Emblem games, where you just like move your head slightly and giant sword misses you.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
But like, Tahm Kench is such an interesting support to pair because he also, better than a lot of other supports in the game, is going to get a lot of value out of having that extra gold. Just hold that thought. Chovy.
Yeah, could be in a little bit of trouble here, but he gets Unleash powered and he still has 400 health left. Mercury Tread's pretty good to stop that one from killing him. As the Verdant Barrier, of course, Yukal, starting off that trend here in Korea. He is going to be picking that one up as his initial item. And Shelly is going to cram her skull into this outer turret. And no plate gold going over to Yukal whatsoever. That is all going to go to Gideon.
Yep.
Not terrible, but also not great.
Not ideal.
Here for KT.
No, definitely not what you want, I don't think. But, you know, this game is so... Right now, this game is so slow-paced for KT, and I feel like...
This game is represented in this top lane match.
Yeah, exactly. Says it all. But this game is so slow-paced, and I feel like it doesn't have to be necessarily Hanwha Esports having so much lane prio. They could have tried to push the issue a lot further than they have so far, but they're playing this very safely, and I think the main reason why is because their comp should, on paper, scale much better than KT's. The Olaf isn't going to be that great, as once again, the sidestep is real.
Yeah, Deft actually gets knocked up there, but like, I mean, what's going to happen if Zeus hits just one of them with a grand entrance? There's a devour.
Yep.
Or the Tahm Kench is hit and doesn't care. And then he gets shot by center over and over again. It's just, not the greatest of times. Okay.
I was just gonna say I wasn't looking that closely. I thought he actually dodged it, but because the response was just to walk away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like the result was basically the same as if he had missed. And maybe that's something we can learn from. As Chovy clears out the mini wave once again, he has a slight advantage, but there's a huge advantage here for Doran on the top side of the map. Solar lanes going equally as well for both teams in either side of it, and it is going to mean that Hanwha Life have a slight gold advantage.
Doran does not have any vision. Johan knows this is warded. I mean, he did it himself, so...
Body slam comes on through as there's the cast to say goodbye to the kitty cat, but vision still there. If this spear lands, that is a dead Doran, but it's not going to. And the body slam over the wall.
That's just why Gragas is hilarious, because he had no vision, like he had no right to be there, but it just doesn't matter. Like he just casts away, and this is just a replay of UCal not getting that gold, which is very sad.
Yeah, as Gideon gets a whole bunch of it, and we can see, taking down the Croc Bros over there, Johan just going to collect this blue buff or extra bit of CS score for Chovy, which I think is more to the point, as we'll see what he's going to complete as item number 1, has that tier already stacking. He's actually up pretty high. Of course, Oriana pretty good, just moving that orb around and collecting whatever he would like to. Vista just chilling out by himself here in the bottom side of the map. That being said, bottom, not a side. So I don't know why I said that. A little bit silly. I feel like we always say this, mid-side and stuff like that. Whenever I hear mid-side, I'm like, ugh, it's not a side though.
Yeah, not really.
but you like, you know what it means, so it's like, it's not
wrong.
It's not technically wrong, but it is. And it bothers me. As Johan might need to primally surge his frog, or catfish. As the Lumberjack versus the Oktoberfest boy up here on the top side of the map is quite amusing. There's nothing really much coming from it, as there's the grand entrance. Landing under the kitty cat, Deft there though as the Dawning Shadow comes down, but it is still first blood going over to the Olaf. Gideon puts down that reckless swing and collects the Nidalee.
And finally Zeus gets value. There's gold grand entrance is actually able to get in there and make it happen. And finally there's the follow-up. Everybody is here. UCal is there for the follow-up stun. And this is a really nice start to the game for KT. Their composition doesn't scale extremely well because, you know, the Olaf's nerfs, nerfs the Sterox, and
that could not have gone worse for UCal right there. Misses the cannon and every ability.
It's the worst feeling ever.
That is. That's
especially when he goes back and watches the VOD. He's like, oh, I was hoping that one wasn't.
It's like, coach, please avert your eyes. As there's the double knock-up. That's what you're looking for. The double stun is going to be the response though there, as you can see Hybrid taking a lot of damage here, and the sustain advantage is 100% in favor of Hanwha Esports. So the more that Zeus does this, the worse it's going to go, actually.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is just so frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, Senna can just chip and chunk out anybody when, these trades happen. It's so frustrating to be Hybrid here. Because, staying even in CS, I guess, but the problem is the scaling and the ability to do so much free damage in a front-to-back team fight.
Also, you get more value out of a fasting center than you do normally. So even if a center is behind, when we say behind, you're looking at the support being behind the AD carry over the other side.
Sure.
Generally, there's like a 20 to 30 CS gap, and you're still feeling really good as the center player.
Yeah.
But the Tahm Kench is actually ahead. Vista is actually doing a great job collecting these minions.
Yeah, and that's because Deft has been playing so aggressively.
Absolutely.
And like you were talking about earlier, that's his play style. That's why the Tahm Kench works so well with him. And everything is going right, and that's why so many times in so many games it's been both the Kalista and the Senna that get target banned against Deft so that he cannot play this game. And that's really the other issue that, okay, we're gonna watch this once again. See the really nice knock up into the charm, and then Scour of the Week follows through. Gideon gets the kill, which it guarantees them the kill, but probably would have given that gold somewhere else because he's gone Stride Breaker in this game. He's also got a Moon Plate, so it looks like he's going to go Dead Man's Plate after this.
Yep.
But the changes to his items make him build very differently, and he has the ability to close the gap and do a lot of damage in the front line early on in the fight, but in the later parts of the game, what he's going to be able to do running at people versus Nidalee brings someone down to half health, it's going to be quite significantly different. She's already got her Night Harvester online, so some of those moments are upcoming where you really have to have vision control or the Nidalee Spears are coming. And I feel like that's the biggest gap in this game in terms of potential scaling that we have across the board here for Hanwha Life, who have a Drake advantage as well. So even though the gold is really not that much of a lead for Hanwha Life Esports, I think they are further ahead at this game state than that gold graph will actually show you.
Yeah, and Chovy's at 200 CS at 17.5 minutes. Probably don't really need to tell you guys about it, but I feel like he's once again building minions so that he can kill them in order to make his stats look cool. Shockwave is going to go completely wide, just for fun. Sometimes you throw it out and it guarantees you a turret, so not bad.
Something, 200 CS, 17 minutes, Chovy hack question mark.
Yeah, yeah. One of those. You guys get your passes in the chat. You know exactly which ones I'm talking about. I believe in you.
I love to see Sion. You know, you were asking, I think, Valdez the other day you were asking Chronicle the other day what was the most satisfying CS to watch. I think it's Sion for me, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I just, not playing it, but watching it. Just watching him, like a whole wave comes through and he's like...
And gets eaten with the, yeah, okay, you're right. It's pretty good.
He walks forward.
It's no Diana, in my opinion.
He gets that, I'm sure, but he walks forward, he hits the smash, and then he bombies the rest of them down. He just looks at him, he doesn't need the auto. He's very confident.
Yep.
He's actually behind enemy lines right now, in fact, but there's no one to come and help. Like, it looked like maybe that Doran was going to try to make a play over there, but no one is even nearby.
Having a look at what the health bars are at, it has gone down about 8%, maybe. As Gideon's just holding onto this one, gives away the red buff to his teammate as in goes Vista. He's going to get knocked away, though. Actually, a little bit of anti-synergy there between Yukal and Zeus. As Hanwha Life positioned around a Baron that doesn't exist yet. And Shirley's going to hop down in the mid lane and try and get some extra pressure. This will be the second Rift Herald that is going to donate her life over towards taking down this turret, and she is going to be successful.
Really
this time around.
Interesting teleport there from Doran, just not having faith that his team was going to be able to guarantee this without him, because he could actually be farming a lot extra CS in the side lane right now, and he wasn't able to make a play. Now he's trying to look for something back here.
Yep, Doran
greedy.
Looking for a little bit of an engage here, but as you can see, it's a fight on two fronts. Doran not quite able to get in there, as the Olaf has to flash to get himself out of the way. Vista is so tanky right now as the cask does basically nothing. Morgan still has his ulti available as another 80 mana comes out there from Doran, and Hanwha Life Esports shove up the mid lane. They do lose their outer turret, so definitely kudos to KT, but it just feels like slowly but surely Hanwha Life are getting further and further ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And Doran's teleport there, which is now on cooldown, which is really important actually in this matchup, is gone. He doesn't make a play. Hanwha Life Esports win a 3v4 fight on the front line in mid, and then, you know, obviously it's 2v1 against Doran, so they pulled 2 resources to deal with Doran and are still able to push back KT. And that's a very worrying sign for how the rest of these front-to-back team fights are potentially going to go. And it reminds us that a lot of the engage here is in that Gragas, who could potentially be flanking, but also in the flanking potential of Zeus on this Rakan. But there's just so many ways this can go wrong if you're Zeus. You're such a squishy support, and there's a lot of lockdown here for Hanwha Life. If they catch you for any reason, if you get shockwaved even solo, you are going to die so fast, and then it becomes a very quick 5v4 front-to-back.
Yeah. The thing is, KT do need to start fights.
Yes.
Because they're the ones with onus on them, right? As now Doran looking for that other flank opportunity. Deft in pretty good position to avoid it, though, as Morgan, he's just soaking. But, I mean, when is Morgan ever going to die? He has Devour, he has Piercing Darkness, he has Primal Surge, he has Command Protect. It's an unkillable Sion problem, Wolf.
Yeah, this is really bad. You can see the Scatter of the Weeks feel like they're healing him as, Doran out of position. But here comes the Rakan flank I was talking about.
Yep, Zeus, quickness already popped as he gets into the backline. Only knocks up the Tahm Kench, though, as there's the big barrel into the backline. But look, Dawning Shadow and Hanwha Life Esports say, okay, is that all you got?
That's it.
We're going to take ourselves an Infernal Drake, and we'll bid you adieu.
And that's it, Atlas. I mean, if you don't hit that, that's your one real engage opportunity as KT. This is why I didn't like this pick. If you have a Rel, and she has a similar collapse in, you have a Magnet Storm, and you have a team fight. Maybe you have a big Scar of the Week follow-up, and it looks different.
Gideon, he has no... Okay, thankfully there's another Blast Cone.
Yeah,
Infernal Rift, pretty good.
Not like he has ult pop during that one like anyone's ever done in the LCK before.
Oh no.
Gift that just keeps giving, you know?
Yeah, I know, beautiful, beautiful.
But, you know, when you just pop that early and it doesn't get you anything, then KT's like, well, we got to get out of here, and you can't fight anymore. And this problem, I think, really compounds upon itself further and further the more this game goes on, as Gideon just doesn't have much he can do either on his own. Once those engage tools are gone, Olaf either just runs in and gets chipped down, or otherwise just can't do anything, doesn't even get involved in the fight. As you can see, he's at the back of the fight on this one. Yeah. By the time he sets up for this to get in, he pops Ragnarok, it just doesn't matter. They already have to leave. As soon as the Rakan flank doesn't actually lead to a pick, there's just nothing you can do anymore here if you're KT, and the scaling just gets worse and worse.
And Chovy was sitting on Shockwave that entire time. Morgan threw his train into a wall and then decimated nothing.
And they still crushed it.
And they still crushed the fight because there's just not enough damage on KT's side. Plus, like, LS used to talk about this a lot, which is like vacuum answers within a draft to certain picks that come out. And I think that KT have a perfect example of vacuum answers to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
The Rakan is one of them, the Olaf is another one. And what we're seeing is, holistically, it doesn't do enough to help them with what the actual problem is, which is Hanwha Life outranging the heck out of them and also having a much more stable front to back, unless, you know, Doran does some ridiculous heroics with a cask, or Gideon can really close the gap on the back line.
Exactly. I mean, it's what I was saying before, a bunch of puzzle pieces, but they're all from different puzzles. Like, they don't actually form a picture here for KT. Is Doran, again, looking for one of these really wide flanks, but as soon as he's seen, like, cat's out of the bag, he has to walk away. And KT, they look tough in these fights as long as they get mid-prio with the wave clear that they have.
Wow, it looks like we had some peeking player cams as well, which was actually quite adorable. Now we're all back to usual.
Exactly. But once you end up getting caught here as Doran, like, at this stage, like, they had mid-prio, but they can't take a Baron, they can't get any objectives, and it just becomes this moment where Hanwha Life are like, okay, well, now we're pushing on you. At least they didn't waste any tools here, or they might be in serious trouble.
Yep. And now Morgan just walks towards Gideon. He can't enter the fight as there's a shockwave onto only Doran, who'll get knocked up. Grand entrance is there, but look at Morgan. He can take this turret for about 5 million years.
Yeah.
He won't need to because the turret won't survive. I mean, I know who I'm voting for. Large lumberjack over ethereal turret thing shooting laser beams or whatever the heck they are. Lumberjack every single day of the week.
I mean, this is too, remember the going, you know, to beat the dead horse on this jungle matchup issue, they banned the Hecarim and the Lilia on red side. So,
and the Udyr as well, I think, was banned on the blue side.
Yeah.
So then the top tier was not really available.
Yeah, and I think Udyr was even first banned of the first phase, so it's like you didn't get like tripped up by anything. You weren't surprised by anything from Hanwha Life Esports. And I was expecting something a little bit more niche. I was expecting something interesting, in fact. I was like, ooh, KT've got a plan. But at the end of the day, it feels like the rest of their draft just doesn't come together, and it doesn't feel like there was a plan at all. Like you said, just isolated vacuum answers.
Yeah.
And even though they're only, again, about 1,800 gold behind, it doesn't matter that that's where the gold deficit is. It really just matters about the fact that Infernal Soul is about to come online here. And I don't think KT can front-to-back team fight unless they have an amazing flank, which they've tried now, like, what, 5 times to find?
Yeah,
and it hasn't worked a single time.
And it's interesting, like, because you have to, when you're formulating a composition, keep your idea on exactly how this composition is going to win, right? And Hanwha Life's is extraordinarily easy. They have lots of win conditions.
Yeah.
They have, you know, Deft is going to scale whether you want him to or not, right? Like, Senna does a hell of a lot of physical damage. Morgan does a bit as well, so you're not too worried about the fact that you've got both Nidalee and the Orianna. But then you've also got Chovy, who can land these big shockwaves. They have the huge tank in Morgan. Like, they have a steroid in Johan. As now we've got a fight breaking out. Morgan throws down the ulti. Look, like, KT just have to walk away. Like,
yeah.
It's a bulldozer. Hanwha Life is just a bulldozer.
I mean, their comp is meta. It works together well. It has synergy. It's top tier. I mean, there's no holes at Hanwha Life's draft against the comp that KT have. I mean, there are a lot of other options they could have picked, where they had like some serious side lane pressure or some better consistent engage. But I mean, Zeus, look, there he goes again. This is we should just name this left part of this Drake pit as the Rakan Cavern or the Rakan Canyon, whatever you want to call it, Rakan Pathway, because he always tries for it, and if he gets shut down, that's it.
What are you supposed to do? Like, how are KT supposed to siege this? Like,
it's so predictable, everything that they could do.
Like, they can throw a Void Seeker in maybe, and Johan's just said, no, Zeus, you're not actually able to flank, you'll just pop.
Yeah, that's
and he 100% will.
He gets hit by a spear, and it's like, well, now you can't even do anything.
And it's like, Deft hasn't even hit critical mass. As there's the Devour in the middle of the cask, as the Shockwave says no to the body slam. Zeus gets in with the quickness, but where's the follow-up? It does not exist. The Olaf just pops. Dawning Shadow almost picks up two, and they're unable to make it out. KT have absolutely no answer to Hanwha Life Esports right now. It's Infernal Soul time. And if I was Hanwha, just go to the Baron, right? Deft will keep you alive, and then wait for them to come to you. As Zeus,
it's not even over.
Back in just a little bit there as Yukal wants to help out the decimating smash, and then the minions take care of it. Morgan, cool guys don't look at explosions. Vista presses Devour because it was up, and you may as well. Sometimes you want to eat a bit of Scion as This is just so easy for Hanwha Esports.
These are the first kills of the game, really. I mean, KT had that first kill, but these are the first real team fight front to back because KT have avoided team fights thus far throughout this game because they know they can't take it. By the way, you're not going to get a better team fight than this if you're KT. Like, you're not going to actually get a better set than this. Like, Zeus is at half health, and he still makes this happen. The shockwave comes through. He immediately flashes to the back, gets a triple charm knockout.
That's a 5-man charm as well.
And that's like that's the best you're gonna get, and it's still just not good enough. And that tells the story of this game. Hanwha Esports have an insanely good front line. They have consistent damage. The scaling, like you said, is inevitable. And this is just sad. They try to look for a cheeky recall in here, get spotted. There's no way out. Morgan doesn't even look at it, as you said. Like. Yeah, this is just a tragedy, and this is like, it feels like this is the picturesque moment of KT's round 2, where it feels like the drafts aren't working, nothing's coming together, and it's really sad if you're a KT fan because the beginning of the season looked promising. I mean, they beat T1 in the telecom war, and I'm starting to feel like, wow, I mean, this team, UCal's looking really good. Doran maybe actually is the second best top laner, maybe top 3, but no, it's not coming together. Drafting has been the issue, and so we're not done with skirmishes just yet here, Atlas.
We are done with the outer turret on the top side of the map, says Hanwha Esports, as now they're positioned to try and get towards this Baron. And I think just start up a fight, right? I think that Deft can keep people healthy enough so that you can turn whenever you feel like it. The safety is certainly available, and you may as well just threaten, turn, kill, take Baron, win the game.
Yeah, the safety is certainly on here for KT. They're not doing any damage in this fight. I mean, they do end up sweeping out these wards, which is quite significant because it makes it a lot more difficult to hit spears here. Once Nilly does rejoin. Oh, getting spread thin.
Yeah, in goes the train. There's the shockwave combo. Immediately, the Rakan just explodes. As you can see, Morgan. Yeah, there's nothing you can do to this Scion. It's impossible.
And he's just getting healed up by the Senate too, like,
oh yeah,
add injury to insult.
All right, maybe now that he's 1 versus 4 by himself. Actually, no, Devour's right there, so never mind. Gideon, no flash, can't get in there to smite. There's just no option.
There's nothing you can do. There's
the Baron doing a bit of damage there to Doran. That's what they got from this.
Hybrid pings.
Oh, throw everything in and they steal it. All right, yes, that's what you can do. Okay. The Hail Mary, just throw it all. Look, sometimes you say things as a commentator, and it's gonna throw a team under the bus. Well, and I think I need to apologize to Hanwha Esports.
I mean, Hybrid was like pinging. He pinged like twice. I'm going mid. He's like, I'm not gonna be here. I'm just gonna go get farm. He didn't even send a Void Seeker. But watch this. This is the follow-up easy peasy shockwave I was talking about when we saw the early pick of the Orianna in draft. I was like, well, I mean, I could see the synergy here. And this is just going to be UCal actually help set this up. It's a cast and the
literally,
toss.
It's the kitchen sink. Yeah. That's what they threw at that. As the smite came in at about 850, which I don't think is too bad. That must have been off by a very small margin.
Yeah. And, you know, it wasn't blank, so... I was like, oh, I was going to make a blank joke, but he's not on this roster anymore.
Yeah, score as well, I mean, would have been a little bit sad about certain smites.
But
that's okay.
You know, look, they get the Scuttle here too, so they actually have vision advantage on the upcoming Elder Drake. It's going to be, you know, for only a few seconds with the timing of this, but... Yep, KT have proven that they could slow this game down even more. That's what they're going to be able to get out of this Baron, unfortunately. Not a whole lot else. Not going to be able to threaten inhibitors, threaten any turrets on the map.
This is so demoralizing though, right? Like, when you've seen how every fight is going to go, like, where is the way out? Where is the win condition, right? And I can't really see it.
I mean, it's really based on...
It's like Hanwha needs to be completely out of position, exactly. And then a couple of people need to be taken. But if there's a 5v5 where Morgan gets to stand in the front, I don't know.
We're talking about Deft, who's made an entire career off of making sure that he's in position to be safe, but also deal damage, right? Like, he's not the type of player who gets caught out of position. If you try to catch Morgan or Johan while they're clearing wards, like, you're going to have a bad time. You're not going to be able to find very much there. And Chovy, I mean, this guy never gets caught. I mean, this guy he had one of the most record-breaking KDs of all time in the LCK because he doesn't get caught or die isolated. Like, you're hoping again for those flanks to work out. It's desperation.
Yep, chilling on an 11.6 as the train's going to come in, but mainly just for the minions. As we do spot exactly where UCal is, he got completely chunked. as now we have a rapid fire cannon for Deft, as if his range advantage wasn't enough.
Don't know about this one, Hybrid. Okay, he doesn't get seen.
Yeah.
There's nothing for Morgan to toss on him anyways, but...
I actually really like this from Hanwha Esports, sort of force up the mid lane to make sure that KT do have to reposition, and then the Baron is no longer a problem.
The Baron timer here just ticks down the Elder Drake timer. And I don't know if KT are going to get a lucky steal on that one.
Well, Morgan is just standing here in front of 3 people.
He does not care.
Big old shield as the spear is going to miss, unfortunately. In the meantime, Yukal is going to have to flash here towards the top side of the map. And Morgan, I think they almost did A damage to him, but I don't know. Shockwave going to be used onto Hybrid only on the backside. And that means that all of the damage is unavailable. He's been ragdolled through the sky. Flash out once again. And KT, they just have nothing. They can't do anything in these fights. It's so hard.
It's actually so tragic. And the funny thing is, this is one of those moments where you're like, well, this could be a mistake from Hanwha. Okay, chasing too deep, right? I mean, you're feeling like, okay, maybe they get caught, but actually they're just still so tanky, and Tom Kent still gets away. It's actually insane. Like, the turret is doing more damage than KT has done pretty much this whole game in that aggro moment. And it's just a tragedy. You see Morgan, you try to engage on him, he just does not die. And now the Elder Drake is up, and KT couldn't even clear vision fast enough to get there first. So Hanwha Esports are actually going to have the fast track, believe it or not, after a reset on this Drake that will end the game if it is taken. And KT, like you said, it's got to be a demoralizing game.
Okay, never mind. Didn't need to. I just wanted them to throw the blue buff as far away as possible. That's what the entertainment of this game has got to. Just having a bit of fun here as Morgan. Like I was saying, like, you put Sion in the front. Hanwha are playing this very, very well in all of these instances. As the Infernal, let's see whether Doran can actually do something meaningful here as Deft thrown into the middle of the fight. But unfortunately, Gideon can't really do anything. They do manage to pop him as the Killer Instinct comes into the backline. But have they done enough is the question. Johan gonna have to get out of there. The Devour used onto Chovy. Morgan flashes and stays alive. And look, even though the center isn't there, so much of their damage gone, but it's still hard for KT. And Command Protects are there, the Primal Surge is there, and KT, they don't have the same level of healing that's available for Hanwha.
They can't actually take this, and they're going to try to back right here. Are you crazy?
Well, there's not a lot of vision. Control Ward does go down, and now Hanwha are probably just waiting for KT to back away.
Oh, man.
And in the meantime, just healing all back up again. It's Gideon. Oh, my goodness. One more spear and he's dead.
Yeah, these spears are not connecting luckily for them. But, I mean, can you imagine 2 people in that brush get interrupted, the other 2 go through? It's like, oh, well, there's your Elder Drake. Okay, we're going to see Abyssal Voyage here. They have such a fast rotation in after the respawn.
Yeah, it's like Vista goes and collects him, right? He's like, can you pick me up from school?
Taxi.
And he does so. Speaking of taxis, the Lumberjack coming out towards this bottom side, and Deft is angry, right? He got picked in that last fight. The Killer Instinct was good from Hybrid. But the problem is, even if they do that, all of that heroics isn't quite enough.
They have no Drakes. KT have no buffs in this game. None whatsoever versus all the extra damage that's being done here for Hanwha, even without Deft.
And the poke advantage is there for Hanwha Esports as well, right?
They have everything.
It's crazy. Sustain, poke, front to back, range.
The one thing they don't have is an insanely fast clear on this Elder Drake, so much so that they could start it. They actually have to get a pick first, so they are playing this out very slowly.
Yep. Well, Hanwha, if they actually want to win a team fight before they go for this, they want no more of these shenanigans where a bunch of abilities are thrown at them as Morgan presses his ult button and then the Gargoyle Stone Plate. He's tanking a lot as there's a Dawning Shadow. Morgan gets a huge shield as Yukal off to the side. 2-man Shockwave is good onto Zeus and onto Gideon. And Yukal, just nothing that he can do. And it's a war of attrition that Hanwha Esports are looking to now take advantage of.
No way out of this one, Doran. He's trying his hardest. If he gets slowed one more time. Oh, he just barely dodges the tongue.
Oh, man, the scariest Lumberjack ever.
But it's, I mean, what?
Slayer not going to do it.
You survive, but so what? Because the Drake is going down. It's going to be Elder Drake here for Hanwha Esports. The executes are coming.
Yeah.
Looks like they're going to try to trade this for a Baron, but I don't think they have the speed to clear it. And not only that, they're already spotted. Oh, this is so rough. I don't know which fight this is going to be. Okay, this is going to be Deft getting picked here. Doran's flank finally pays off. Hits Deft. The cast knocks him in there. And you can see the damage output is actually insane when they do target him down. But, like, after that, the peel is so good that they didn't save Deft, but it's done so much damage that KT can't continue the fight. Their damage isn't consistent enough here. This is actually so sad. Like, I cannot believe what we just watched.
It's silly because that's actually everything going right? Like, The rest of Hanwha Life Esports actually played it very well. I really did like Johan's ability to get that Zhonya's off in time, buy a lot of space. But as you can see, when it works the way it's supposed to, like Yukal caught out of position, the two-man shockwave is beautiful, and yeah. It's like, you know, you're playing D&D with your friend and you play randomizer on your character and your friend just rolls all the nat 20s and you get all the ones. You know, that's what it sort of feels like.
Except Atlas, none of this was random. They both had their own ability to play choices, and KT once again just drafted themselves into, what's the opposite of a kingdom?
I'm not entirely sure.
What is it, like they draft village?
Prison?
I guess. I don't
draft
know.
prison?
This is really, I mean, every concern we had about KT's draft has just been like put on display way too many times. And, I mean, KT have played this very safely, but playing safe isn't going to get you a win here either. They've elongated the game, so they've put the volatility up in terms of, okay, if they do get a pick and win a team fight even once, like they could probably win this game if they get the wipe, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, the way that they were going to win, right, is KT had a very small window to snowball extraordinarily hard in the very early stage of the game, but now it almost looks comical how difficult it is for KT to utilize this comp. As you can see, Morgan, one turret was not enough. He needs to absorb the damage of multiple. As he's just going to run at Yukal here. There's the shockwave again, and Yukal is obliterated. 0-3 now for the Syndra as Def picks up a kill from downtown. Now Hybrid desperately trying to do damage, but he just can't. Chovy executes him. And now Gideon, the Olaf, unfortunately just relegated to the Fountain. And Hanwha Life show us a beautiful example of Draft Kingdom.
Easy peasy.
They'll surround this fountain and demonstrate to KT this is how you're supposed to get it done, and they do so very, very nicely. As Morgan amps up his Nexus damage by getting himself killed. That is the sign of a true Scion Lord, as the rest of his team not wanting to actually hit the Nexus at all, so maybe a little bit out of sync, but that's fine. Just having a bit of fun on the enemy fountain. Hanwha Life Esports do manage to take game one.
I mean, it was very, very basic, very simple game here from Hanwha Life Esports. They controlled every single aspect of it.